Hey guys, GHAZZY TV here with a very interesting video to talk about Moonbeast, which is not actually the name of the game. It is a placeholder name for the game. You might have seen me and some other streamers been playing a pre-alpha game coming from Moonbeast Productions, who are actually filled with people from the creators from Diablo 1 and 2, the OGs. Coming out to making a new ARPG game, which we don't know the name of, but for now they're just calling it Moonbeast, I guess. This game is in pre-alpha, which basically means it's going to take a long time before we even see an alpha or a beta. So this is just a concept to show the mechanics and the vision and idea that they have behind the game. So I've been playing it, and they have this little show that we've been going through. And it was, I don't want to spoil too much of it. If you want to check it out, you'll find it in my past broadcast here on Twitch. There will be some gameplay footage, obviously, in this video. I'm sure Kickers will throw some up here for you guys' pleasure. I will say this. In a pre-alpha state, obviously, quite a few things were not finished. Descriptions of things. The skill twig is a placeholder. It's not much to look at. It's very limited what you can do and whatnot. But what they have done is showing a rather classical ARPG experience from the start, but adding a twist to it that I haven't seen, at least in an ARPG before. And that is bringing the idea of the 3 dimensions to it. Essentially, you are able to jump, and I'm currently wearing a pair of boots with feather falling, which means if I hold down space, my character will slowly fall down. I could literally be floating around if I want to, which was pretty fun to do. You have the dashes and everything. And what was really cool about this is that you can completely destroy the environment around you. So we can dig a hole and pretend we're a dwarf. And you can just keep on digging and digging and digging. And yes, you can go down the hole. Also, I want to show you. What's really cool is that all of it is just in the game, and the game is designed around it. I think it's so cool. There are some minor things that obviously is, it's pre-alpha, so I don't want to complain too much about like bugs or issues or mechanical thing. It changes. What we're looking at is the mechanic, the idea of the game that they're presenting. Your character can swim, jump, you can climb down and destroy the environment around you. Dungeons are pretty cool. There were some pretty interesting things you can do there in terms of finding secret loot rooms and stuff like that by destroying the literal wall. Not wall as in hairs or just a brick wall, but as in the entire mud side of a tunnel side, for example. I think that was pretty cool idea to it, because the problem I have when it comes to exploration in ARPGs is that they're all inside this box, right? So, for example, I recently played Titan Quest. You look at this little peninsula here. I walked up in a peninsula like this in Titan Quest. The only purpose was to see if the tail end had a little, loot spot. It didn't have a loot spot, or it did have a loot spot. I picked it up, or it didn't, and then I walked back. I mostly felt annoyed that the game would force me to run up like this and then go down for just a little bit of loot, which is mostly shit. And exploration was like, no, it's more about, hey, have I checked this corner? Okay, good, I'll move on. Have I explored every corner of this area? Good, I'll move on. Everything is inside a box. And it's the exact same process in, I guess we're gonna call it Moonbeast, but in this game, we're still inside the box. But for some reason, I was never annoyed with me exploring these corners. And I was annoyed with it in Titan Quest. I don't like it in any other RPG either. But for some reason, it just felt natural in this game. I don't know how to explain it. And I think it's mostly because the fact that you have other elements that you can, how you can control your character, which you don't have in the regular, normal, standardized ARPGs. You can jump, you can destroy debris, you can literally build your own little bunker if you want to. It's fun. And that distracts me from the nuisances and the definition of what an ARPG is, which is doing the same thing over and over and over again on repeat, hoping for a different result. Literally the definition of insanity. And the very best ARPGs out there are the games that distracts the players from feeling or being reminded of that nuisance. And I feel like these levels of application to the ARPG scene is actually really cool. So I just want to point that out because I really like that approach to it, because I was completely distracted by it, and I really, really appreciated that personally. So that's part of it. Obviously, there's not much to talk about when it comes to like balances, skills, and whatnot. VFX, SFX, all of these things, they're just what it is for a pre-alpha at the moment. So I'm not going to be judging them on that. What I am going to be looking at is the general idea of what they're trying to achieve. And I've been talking to some of the devs here in the stream, and we are currently in discussion on setting up a Tavern Talk podcast, which we might do when we can get that scheduled at some point as well, to pick their brains about this, because I'm very excited for this game. It actually seems really cool so far. One of the things that stood out a lot to me was when I was talking to them when I was streaming it, was that they said that they're going to make sure that the players have access to a map editor. So they're going to allow players to essentially design their own adventures or create their own maps for them or their friends to play in and stuff like that. Basically like the good old Warcraft or Starcraft days where you made your own maps and stuff like that. I love this aspect to it as well, because it kind of separates them very far away from the current stage of how we're playing ARPGs right now. It also offers a completely different dynamic when it comes to private leagues or challenges, race events, or whatever you want to call it, with that possible, the possibilities that opens up with that kind of access. I think it's really cool, but it's gonna take a while before we see anything in this game. It's taking a long time, sadly. But I had a lot of fun playing this game, like a lot of fun. And there's some really cool things that recently started showing up with the glyph system. Again, pre-alpha, so a lot of things were, you know, kind of poor information out there and whatnot for the current state that I was playing in. We have control skills. Here's the characters and the character cheats. Again, I don't want to like show too much, because like most of these and how it looks is all current placeholders. I had no way of telling how it's going to look in the end. But I will say that I had a lot of fun with this game, and it looks really interesting with this whole concept of like Terraria style, where you could dig down the ground and you play it that way. So something that I did in the start, spoiler alert, if you don't want to watch this, do skip ahead a couple minutes. In the starting zone, we got to this altar of the ancient gods. When we clicked on this was like the first quest. It spawned this purple corruption, and if you stood in that, the entire ground would elevate and raise up as like a crypt area, like a cemetery-esque zone, and there would be much higher level enemy spawning. So obviously I stayed out of it, and I, you know, after the first quest and that started spawning here in a circle, I just went south and kept doing, you know, my other quests in the other areas I was looking into. But this zone just kept growing indefinitely. So this zone was all the way down here when I finished all of these zones in the dungeons. I was trying those out all the way down here. And then at the end of this, I got the quest to kill a boss in here, which was absolutely cracked, by the way. I was flying around like I was Superman to deal with him. But it went all the way down, and I had to clear my way all the way up to it, because the corruption had spread so far by the time I was done with the other areas. And at that point, I was leveled enough to deal with the corruption zone, and then I had to clear through it. I kind of liked that approach to it. It was a fun experience to have this corruption thing creeping up behind me, because it was a sense of urgency to do what I needed to do in the front side, so that I could level up and gear myself up to deal with what was creeping up behind me before it was too late. It wasn't like it wasn't stressful, but the sense of urgency was there, and it was always there in the background. I really like that. It's gonna be fun to see how they're going to develop the you know, other areas in this game as they progress with it. But that little feature alone to me was like, you know, these guys are the OGs in this business. Diablo 1, Diablo 2, I mean, most of us ARPG veterans, we've been around for so long, it's kind of crazy. But again, I really don't have much else I can add to the game in the current state of it. I've been having a lot of fun again. I think I've said that 60 times already. I've mentioned the things that I do like. Some of the things that I dislike, I've already talked to them about and delivered that feedback, and they are discussing how they're going to be able to improve it, if at all. Depends on what they end up doing. One of them being camera control. and whatnot. But no, it's been it's like I said, it's been fun. It's been a very interesting experience, especially with the way where you can jump and you can the dash jump, double jump for that matter, and digging and destroying the environment around you. And enemies will behave accordingly as well. Like they will literally also be there. And you can one of the bosses I was fighting was 4 or 5 mages. And what I did to stay away from the projectiles from one of them was I would try to pull them back. And then I would literally dig a little hole so that when they shot projectiles, the projectiles would just hit the ground instead of me. And then I would pull one of them into my little hole and beat one of them up at a time. I know, I kind of liked it. It was a new experience that I haven't seen or in any RPG so far myself. So again, I don't really have much else to say. Thank you to Moonbeast for letting me play the game on the pre-alpha and letting me stream it and making content out of it. This was a fun experience. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think of it. I'm gonna ask Kikis to post some extra gameplay footage after I'm done ranting here. So for those of you just here to hear my rant about the game, appreciate you guys watching. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe for more content. I'll catch you guys in the next one. And I'm gonna ask Kikis to post a little bit of gameplay footage after this. And I'll see you guys next time. Till then, stay safe and keep rocking.